All right, guys, welcome to I guess the second version of Answer the Call. And this week we're with the AstroPub. What Answer the Call is it kind of came from this impromptu Discord call with me and Board Gamer, as if you've watched it on the YouTube channel. We had a Discord call about, I don't even remember what we discussed, to be honest, but we were angry about something. I think it was the CitizenCon live stream.
It was OCS. It was OCS.
Oh, it was OCS. Yeah, that's right.
3.3.5.
Yeah, it was something dramatic.
It was the 10-minute call that turned into
the 1 hour call, which this hopefully will not do.
We'll cut it down.
Yeah, exactly. So the idea around this podcast is to have a short format podcast. One topic, one guest, a little back and forth, and then kind of read your comments and discuss it with you guys a little bit after. So I'm here with the AstroPub. So before we get started, who are you? What do you do, in case nobody knows who you are? Where can they find you? All that fun stuff.
My name is Paul, Berserker1 Batman Shelley. I am the host of the AstroPub. I do several different things. Star Citizen is my main game, but I do lots of space and science fiction stuff. I do several YouTube series. I do a podcast for Star Citizen called the Captain's Table,
yes,
which is on Saturdays. And then when my normal gaming, I do some gaming streams on Twitch. And on YouTube, I also do two series called Galactic Historian and a new series I just created recently called Historical Perspective. Galactic Historian, I take on lore from Star Citizen and other science fiction series, gaming and stuff. And Historical Perspective, I look at games set in actual time periods and then like analyze like where they're set and like the kind of the background behind them and like the connection between them. So, and
this all kind of comes from your background as being a teacher, right? History teacher?
Yeah, a history teacher. So, yeah. And you can find me live on Twitch, twitch.tv/TheAstroPub, and the AstroPub on Twitter and the AstroPub on YouTube everywhere. It's the AstroPub everywhere. So.
All right. So as you guys can see below, the topic is, should Evocati have an NDA? It currently does have an NDA. We're not going to be discussing anything that is involved with the current Evocati patch or any of our experiences in Evocati. We are both in Evocati. So we are both active. Well, I don't know how active I've been lately. I've been kind of busy with real life. But we're both active testers in the Evocati test flight. But we both have differing opinions on this topic. So we'll start out with what I think. I don't think there should be an NDA. Personally, I liked the idea of the open development thing with Star Citizen. I think that is always kind of an easy argument about there being any NDAs with anything that goes on. It would be nice to see what's going on at all times with Star Citizen and with CIG. But to start off, to be fair, this has been the most open developed game that I've ever seen. So I'm very kind of content and happy with what we have as far as the open development and content that we get from them now. But as far as builds and playable things, I think they should still kind of be open to all. I do understand the fact that they need a certain testing focus, a certain number of testers, and certain situational things. And I like the way they do, how they choose who is in what patch cycles, right? Versus like based on how much you play and how much you participate in the issue council. But I don't really feel that anything as far as any patches or anything like that should be under NDA. But I do have some opinions on whether they should be streamed or created into YouTube content, basically monetized. I don't think that Evocati should necessarily be monetized, though. My issue is with, if the patch notes are out there, and we all know that they're out there, and they're very easily accessible, if a video gets out there and is seen, I have an issue with the fact that I cannot discuss it. I cannot say where I saw it. I cannot say where it is. I cannot say... I probably shouldn't even say that it's out there, right? That's where I take issue with things. I'm a big fan of tech YouTubers, and very, very often do you see a tech YouTuber discuss leak specs on, let's say, a graphics card. A graphics card which they all in likelihood have in their hands and are testing in the background at that time in a lot of cases, right? So that's kind of where I have issues. I don't necessarily think it should be streamed in YouTube because honestly, most people know that the patches from Evocati aren't super playable anyway. The testing there is to be testing focused. It's not to play the video game. It's to test the video game. So I understand that part. So don't get me wrong that I want everybody to understand that I'm not coming at this from a content creator perspective in terms of making content, but I do hate that I can't discuss anything about Star Citizen that other people can discuss because they didn't sign an NDA. But I'll let you, I've rambled on enough. I'll let you kind of share your opinions on the matter.
I agree with you to a degree.
Okay.
That it's open development, so you want people to be able to talk about things.
Yeah.
And it sucks when I can't say anything about a build, especially with leaks. When you see a leak and you know that like maybe that leak was just a bug and it's a rare bug, but it manages to show some new content that other people are really dying for, and so they look at it. And part of the reason why I think there should be an NDA is not because I don't think that the game should be open, but because the game is the NDA Evocati are not actually the same as the PTU. And the idea is that the Evocati are more effective as testers, and they essentially work as in-house testing for CIG. CIG has 500 employees, but they only have so many QA. And some of those QA are dedicated to Squadron 42. And there may not be enough QA at CIG to fill even 2 full servers over the 3 different areas they have. So they need a group of people from all over the world to come in and hit their servers as hard as they can and break things, and then do a good report for them so they can help fix them, because the servers in the wild are very different from the servers in their offices. And as a result, having an NDA would gives them the ability to give some really buggy and broken shit. I don't want to go into any NDA breaking stuff, but it's not unheard of for ETF patches just to not work. Period. And the problem that people have with Star Citizen, and they've had this for a while, the reason why ETF exists in the first place is, I believe, 2.0. And people forget it's been 2 years, I think, since 2.0, 2015.
Yeah, and it was in the 2.0 cycle. I don't know if it was 2.0, but yeah.
Oh no, it was 2.0 because 2.0 was when we had the crash counters and the with the crash counters, and we had the
I think it was 2.4.
Might have been 2.4.
Yeah.
No, it was that
it was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago, so a lot of people forget that it looked bad. It looked really bad for the game, and people would point to that as being, "Hey, this is why the game sucks. This is why the game's never going to function." And so CIG got skittish, and instead of this was about the time when people went they kind of went internal. They kind of like turtled in, and said, "We're not going to talk a lot about it." And so they created the ETF as a means so that they could feel more comfortable doing that and actually using that resource without actually having to risk themselves getting bad press for having a broken build. And so I understand that reason, and I think that is a good reason to have it. I don't think the ETF should exist forever. I think, but I think that the need for them to be quiet about broken builds is still there. And as you said, the reason why a lot of people are making video content. The reality is, if there's no NDA, people are going to stream it. People are going to put YouTube videos out. Why?
Yeah.
Because they want to make money, and because they want to get famous, or because they want to stay up on the thing, on like the top of the news. There's a reason why people like Board Gamer make a video every week, multiple videos a week. There's a reason why Noobifier makes videos every week.
Yeah.
There's a reason why you and I do streams as much as we possibly can, because we want to stay relevant. We want to make sure our fans are enjoying our content. And if there is a build of ETF and we have access to it and other people don't, we will stream it or do YouTube videos on it to show off content. Not necessarily if we want to make money, but because there's too much of a exclusivity thing to not do it. So we'll look at 3.0. One of the biggest time periods for me to get I got a lot of folks coming in and hanging out and exploring the game.
Absolutely.
Was during 3.0 because I had early PTU access and not everybody else did. You did too. And we enjoyed it. And there was a lot of people who came in and were interested in seeing the new patch. So that's the problem. It's like it's going to be broken, but you get people to watch no matter what. So
that's where I'm kind of that's where I disagree with you about like the need to protect the broken build, because I was just playing 3.2 before we got here together, right? Mm-hmm. And as good as that patch is, it doesn't crash. The frame rate is fairly stable. It's still an incredibly broken build when, like, as far as like advertising and people coming in and checking out this game, right? I had a guy come in that popped in and said, "Wow, this game is beautiful. How can I get it?" And like, I immediately have to be like, "Well, just so you know, it's not really a full game yet. These are the issues with it. So before you get involved, this is what you're getting into," right? So, and if the guy watched long enough, he would have seen it. You know, I bumped into a door and the door killed me, right? So there's I don't understand the argument to protect CIG's I guess like image by protecting Evocati. Okay, I would like to I think the penalties maybe for streaming the game and YouTube content, because we all know at this point, I don't think this is not common knowledge, that there is a watermark on ETF. Mm-hmm. So when you do stream it, when you do put YouTube content up, the watermark is there. And I think you should maybe be banned from the game if you do, instead of just not allowed to be an Evocati. Maybe there should be strict punishments for making content creation from it. But here, I want to ask you a question.
Here's my question, though. Before
go ahead.
Do that, what is content creation?
That's a good question. Is streams,
is
YouTube videos about it?
Making a video about the new say the Hammerhead. You know,
I think showing the build is content creation.
So you could talk about it, but you couldn't make a video, even a 15-second video or like a walkthrough of the Hammerhead, even without talking.
Yeah, I think you can. Yeah, no walkthrough.
People would still make those videos and leak it. Like they do it now,
but they would get. But if the punishment was strong enough, they would get banned from the game for doing it, and then that would create people stopping people from doing it. Maybe I don't know. Maybe the punishment is too big, because what if somebody leaks it that has $1,000 account? There's all sorts of issues with that, right? I see the flaws in my logic there. Yeah. But let me ask you this one question. Why are you in Evocati?
Because I've been in every Evocati since the early Evocatis.
But why did you want to be in it on day one?
It helps me to understand more about how the game was made. I felt like I had more of an impact on how the game was being developed in terms of doing bug fixes. And very early on, it was nice because I could have early access to make content. And then they removed that ability because for a lot of people don't know is that they used to have Evocati, and then you could make content in Evocati, and then when the game went from Evocati to PTU, you could instantly.
Board Gamer had 11 videos up the hour it went out.
The hour it went up. He'd already made it, and he'd uploaded it, put it into private, and then the second one out, he just hit publish.
Yeah. And boom, 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 boom.
It all went public. And they didn't like that because it still showed off the bugs and other issues. So they said you can't do it anymore, which is why they have the watermark. But I feel like I work with a lot of people who work with like a C4, who are a lot of the competitive group in Star Citizen. And I feel like working with them and seeing what they do, it helps a lot with the balance, and their input is very important. And the more I could see people like that in Evocati, the better I think the game will be overall. That's why I'm part of Evocati.
Okay. Now, I asked that because I want to make sure that it's very clear to everybody the reason why I'm in Evocati. I'm not in Evocati because I want to help with the bug testing. I'm not in Evocati because I necessarily have any input on the balance of the game. I have a selfish reason for being in Evocati. It's because I'm a content creator. the day that patch goes to live PTU, I want to be very informed on how the game works, and so I can share why it's there. So I am being selfish, and I am aware of that. So it is an advantage to me to be in Evocati as far as content creation goes long term, right?
Yeah.
Little did that was my reason for being in it originally. Once I actually got into it and started reproducing issue council reports and helping out with that stuff, I actually kind of really fell in love with doing that, and I thought it was really enjoyable. So I'm in it now for reasons other than that, but originally I was like, well, I need to get a head start in doing this. So I want to be very open and clear on why I joined it in the first place, right? And it was for selfish reasons for my content. It wasn't actually to create content in it, but I did want to have a head start on other people, because when it does go to PTU, there aren't that many people that do have it. So that's another point that I want to make, is I don't think they put the NDA on because of content creators. I really don't think they care about content creators as much as some people think they do. Like, they're not going to put an NDA on a patch because content creators are going to create content for it. I don't think that that's really something that they're super concerned about. If I do understand the original reason for the NDA for Evocati, it was for the testing to be focused, for the devs to go to one place and one place only, and that's the issue council, right?
And that was the other thing, is that, like, with Evocati, it's a lot easier to say, hey, everyone in Evocati, we want you to bang on this specific problem over and over and over again. It was easier for them to collect them all as a group, to have them test specific features.
Yeah.
Whereas in PTU, F you, I can do what I want, CIG. You just gave me access to the build. F off. You know, you can ask people to do stuff, but that doesn't necessarily get them to do it, and people will not do access to it. And but I disagree. I believe that the content creation was one of the reasons why, because I remember an early ETF, early PTU, because the PTU existed before the ETF.
Yep.
Early PTU build, where we were asking them, can we stream this? Can we not stream this? I think it was one of the very first ETS, like, was 1.0. I think was a PTU.
Was it when they did the ArcCorp?
It might have been that.
I think when ArcCorp dropped, they were like, please don't show this, guys.
Please don't show this yet.
Yeah.
But they had nothing to stop people from doing it.
Yeah.
So it was like people like you and me would go on streamers who were showing it off and be like, hey, they said not to stream this. And a lot of them you could see them in the struggle in their faces. They're like, I want to show this content, but I don't want to piss off CIG and lose my access, or burn a bridge I don't want to.
Exactly.
And on top of that, the problem about that whole situation is that long term, there is eventually going to be someone who doesn't give a fuck. And there have been several people I've seen.
There's too many that don't now
come and go. Yeah, well, there's people who come and go who are even in content creation, who will come in and stream like every day for all of this one big patch because it's a big, and then like the second that patch hype is over with, they don't give a shit. They left. They leave the scene entirely, even though they had like 200 people watching them a night or a day when they were playing it. I'm like, man, I don't care. I just want to do it so I can show off the new content. And it's like, that's cool, I guess, but those people are also dangerous, because if that new content is utterly broken and people want to see that content, they'll see the content, and then that ends up hurting the game's reputation long term, because people say, oh, this game's nothing but broken. This is a huge problem. This is a new patch and they can't even get shit working right. Like, there's dumb stuff that people think of no matter what. And I can see your argument saying like, yeah, that's also, it's going to be broken no matter what, so why bother?
I hate that argument. I hate that argument, because it's a game that is not, it's in development, it's not done yet. And it gets said enough, and if people don't understand that, that's their problem. That's not CIG's problem. That's not my problem. That's nobody else's problem, except for the person that just doesn't get that the game, and I'm one of those people often, where I'm learning more about game development every day through this game, and realizing that, like, on the last RTV, I'm just losing his name, the artist said, I'm just going to change this one color, and then the technical the other guy that was on there was like, oh my god, that's going to create so much work for me. Just changing a color, you know, like for me, you would think that would be instant. It would just change. But now there's all sorts of other things that go on that I am not aware of. So obviously game development isn't as easy as a lot of us think it is. And, you know, that's no fault of anyone else but our own. Right? And or whoever does feel that way. So I just don't understand the need and the want to protect. What are you protecting? If CIG puts out a patch that's good, it doesn't, like, everybody is just gonna play it. You don't have to keep protecting yourself from things because everyone's gonna forget about 2.0 and the crash counter. Everyone's gonna forget about all those things when you actually put a game. It just doesn't matter. So I don't like the argument of hiding things for reasons to protect CIG because they don't need protection. They need to put something good out, and they will. And when they do, everything will be fine. So I think go ahead.
I will say, I think the ETF and the NDA for ETF is important, and I think the ETF in general should always remain in some way, shape, or form, because you have ETF, you have NDA, like. People don't understand how broken the builds are when ETF gets them. They are not ready for public consumption in any way, shape, or form. They're just not ready. And
which is the reason why I don't think we should be streaming them or making YouTube content for them. Right?
And straight up, there's this I think there's just this belief that there's something hidden in the ETF builds that are not available in the live builds, which is bullshit. There's the worst that would happen in an ETF build is they test out a new feature that they talk about in ATV and it doesn't work, and they say, hey, it didn't make it into the build because X, Y, or Z. But there's this
that they most
that,
likely
like,
have
CIG
shown on ATV.
Yes,
that's the thing that drives me nuts. Is there's nothing new in there. There's nothing to hide.
No,
we've seen it all. We've seen it all.
And that's the thing. And that's the thing. It's like,
what are you hiding?
People believe. But I think people believe that there's stuff that there's hidden in there when there's not. And really, the ETF and the NDA is mostly for making sure that people are not spreading broken builds and or giving them allowing for a core group of people who are under contract that they're willing to work with CIG for specific focus testing that they need to. But I don't believe that the ETF as an NDA organization, or like as we give it to the ETF first, then to the PTU, should exist beyond, as you said, a point where if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like if it's not a terrible build beyond the core content additions, when every game release of Star Citizen, every patch is actually playable and good, or at least not crashing every 5 seconds. Then who gives a shit? Like at that point, it's just content. But crashing and having problems is what ETF is. It happens in ETF all the time. And you don't usually have that transfer over to PTU. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. And so there is, and that's the problem about NDAs. Like I can't say which patches were completely broken before they released a PTU. But if I could highlight the problem with the, like, hey, if I could have talked about it, I would have said it. But then people would have been like, "Oh God, no! The game's going to fail. The Jesus patch is broken, and everyone hates. Oh my God, like that." Like from a spark to a fire goes so quickly through the community because the community overreacts about everything. Like, don't get me wrong. I agree. There are some fucked up things that CIG does and that they need to change. And you and I can have agreed
on many of those things.
On many of those things. And that the community is right in many of those things. But sometimes this dumb shit, like why the fuck is this small strut here rather than here? While that's important, people just like, it's the worst game. This strut's
and
here.
Then you can tell that CIG is
it's the worst. Yeah,
they're walking on eggshells now about things. And I think that's what a lot of this is about. Now, I want to bring this up real quick before it passes, though.
One more thing, though.
Okay, go ahead. I was going to say, Luke Presley is here, because this is, I guess, valid to what we're discussing right now. This is live on Twitch, for those of you that are watching on YouTube, and Luke Presley is a dev at the UK office, and he said this.
Mhm.
He said, "From my POV, NDA on Evocati is valid, but only up to the point where the game isn't utterly broken. The moment the content is remotely playable, I'd like to be able to watch you guys play it because I learned so much more from you than the issue council." And that's kind of one of the points that I wanted to make as well is if you're watching a Twitch streamer and you're a dev, you're able to ask that Twitch streamer, can you do this also to see if that is the reason why that happened, right? So there's a lot of advantages, you know, to that. But go ahead.
I've had Luke contact me and say, "Hey, thank you for showing off this one thing last time. I watched the VOD and saw this. Didn't realize that was broken." And there's so many times that you and I or someone else would do something and the dev will go, "It's not supposed to do that.
Yeah.
Why is it doing that? Never did that in testing." You know, and then they'll just click, fix. Oh, it's done now. You fixed it.
Yeah, it's not like that on our build. I don't know what, you know, that kind of stuff happens a lot. So
so there is some valid point to that. But I'd forgotten my other point.
I'm sorry. I had a feeling that was going to happen. I apologize.
Oh, no, I do remember what it is. It's like a good example is they showed off the prosthetic leg for the mission giver.
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of us are like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But then there's that one fucking guy on Reddit who's like, the gate is wrong because it doesn't have a heel. Not realistic. I hate this game. Like, oh my God, dude, just chill the fuck out. Like the people who have gun porn fetishes who are going through Star Citizen and being like, oh, that's not a realistic weapon. It's the 30th century in a video game, dude. If you're going to go buy realistic weapons, go play Arma or another game like that. Like, some people get super obsessed about small, dumb things and the community blows up about them. So like, that's an example of like how sometimes, and that's one of the reasons why they walk on eggshells is because they're afraid that one small thing they added for testing for, you know, maybe a patch or two that they want feedback on from the ETF, suddenly the community gets hands of it and they're like, you know,
but they can't listen to, they have to listen when it's situations that the whole community is up in arms about, then there's probably a reason to change it. But they can't, they have to stop listening to that one guy on Reddit. And I feel like they've made a lot of decisions about things like this because of the people that are the loudest and not about the people that aren't, right? I think the things that they really need to start doing is things like what they did with what should be in 3.2, like that vote, right? Then you get a much wider understanding of what your community actually wants to see. If they did more stuff like that more often, and this will always go back to I don't think they're engaged enough with the community as they should be, and that's why a lot of the times they have this disconnect, and we do get upset about them about some things, is because I don't think they really have an understanding of how we are going to feel about certain things that they do. But I mean, in the end, I don't think there should be a super NDA, but I don't think that I don't think that Evocati is meant to be there for content creation, because it's really hard to sit here as a content creator and not have people immediately think that because I don't want there to be an NDA that it's so I can monetize it. I don't want to monetize it. I just don't want to have to constantly be looking over my shoulder and then potentially be afraid to be kicked out of Evocati, which I told you earlier what my intentions were when I first got into it. But now that I'm in it, I actually enjoy the experience of being an Evocati tester, not being a content creator. And I don't want to constantly look over my shoulder and be kicked out for it because I discussed the patch notes that are literally, everyone can see them if they want to at this point. So what are you actually hiding? What are you actually protecting? You know, that's what I'm afraid of. It just drives me nuts, you know? But I absolutely understand your points as well, because they do make sense. And I think that that's why this is a good discussion to have, is because I don't know if there's a right answer, right? But I think a lot of people can have their opinions on it, and it's something nice to talk about while we wait for 3.3.
3.3. You know? And I will say there is something like, I feel like there have been times where if I could have explained to somebody, someone saw a leak and saw something that's like this was broken as shit. This is broken as shit. The game, thus the game's never going to come out. Thus this is broken because it's very important. Thus the game's never going to come out. And people going to that extreme level, I feel like if the Evocati could be like, nah, that was just a bug. We got fixed like two patches ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of works. This is pretty cool. And be able to say hype stuff like, oh my God, this improved the performance by 1,000. It's amazing. Or saying like, hey, this new feature is actually really cool. You'll really like it when it comes into there. That's completely different. That it completely changes how the community interacts with this information, because the testers who have experience with it can sit there and say, this is the actual reason, instead of one video that was leaked because through a what's it called? The
issue council
thread. Yeah.
I mean, I think that's where a lot of them are coming from, the leaks anyway. But so it's not actual. I don't think it's actual like Evocati people leaking this stuff either. It's people that are gaming the system somehow. But yeah, I think we've kind of reached our point of ending. I do want to try and keep this short. So again, we are live on Twitch, and every Sunday I think is the plan of doing this. But I don't want to have a guest on every Sunday. So I do plan on doing it this way: is every now and then we'll have a guest, every now and then we'll have a topic that you guys out there, the viewers and people that watch the videos, can come in and pop on Discord yourself and quickly give your point on whatever topic we're discussing. So I want to do answer the call, because you can actually call in at that points as well. So every Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern time is when we'll be doing this. If you want to come in and join live on twitch.tv/Torque17. And it is going to be on my YouTube channel as well, if you're watching here on Twitch. I want to say, Astro, thank you for stopping by. I hope you have a really, really good time at CitizenCon. I'm really sad I won't be there to see you. And again,
I hope you enjoyed the redacted Mr. Science Theater 3000. That's going to be pretty fun.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah. I guess we should bring that up too. So for those of you guys that aren't going to CitizenCon, CIG will not be streaming the event on Twitch, but they did allow us to restream their event on Twitch or on YouTube. So we'll be doing that here on twitch.tv/Torque17 during the entire live stream. It's going to be hosted by myself, Detox, Nubifier, and Super Mac Brothers Ryan, and we may have some other special guests on as well. I hope to see you pop in on Discord in between panels, Astro, if you can. I don't know how the internet's going to be there. So we'll be here live streaming it for you. So you'll have the Twitch chat experience, but the CIG live stream is kind of what we're going for here. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoy this kind of content. And yeah, so Astro, again, thank you for stopping by. Again, before you go, where can people find your content? What are you up to in the next little while? I'm assuming streaming 3.3 when it comes out.
Yes, I'll be streaming 3.3 when it comes out. I've been doing, I'm doing some what I call sellout streams today, Sunday, the 7th, and then I'm also gonna do one after CitizenCon, which is more relaxed, less of a like, hey, I'm trying to make money, and more like, hey, toss some bucks into the bucket so Cam and I can go on a date, or something like that.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
Less fundraiser and more just kind of, hey, I'd love to help me out if you can.
Yeah.
While we're having fun and doing other crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm also gonna be I've been doing Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and I'm continuing to play through that, which is pretty fun. I'm looking forward to like Red Dead Redemption and obviously 3.3. I'm trying to think of some of the other stuff that's coming out, but I'll be coming out doing a lot of I'm trying to go back to some more space game stuff, diverse space game stuff, than just Star Citizen, just to kind of get more experience around rather than just Star Citizen.
Perfect.
So
all right,
and you can find me at twitch.tv/TheAstroPub, Twitter AstroPub, and everywhere TheAstroPub.
TheAstroPub everywhere. All right, so go hang out, watch his Twitch streams. Galactic Historian is awesome. Make sure you guys check that out. And yeah, so if you guys like this kind of content, make sure you put a like on that video. Smash that like button, as the 13-year-olds on YouTube say, and consider subscribing for more videos like this. And
Make sure you
definitely leave a
down
comment.
below.
Yeah, definitely leave a comment. I want to hear what you guys think about this. Yeah,
we want to hear what you say.
Yes, and I'll definitely be in there commenting back with you guys and responding to what you say. All right, so we'll see you guys next time. Have a good time at CitizenCon. Can't wait.